The way these usually work is we spend the first maybe 30 minutes kind of going around figuring out what everybody's goals are, what you want to do, what the challenges are. I ask some basic questions that reveal a lot. And then we'll start by taking the birds out and doing individual interactions so I can kind of see what those interactions look like and where we can improve things. And more importantly, if you're based on your interaction, how accurate it is with your goals. Because oftentimes, you know, if you show up and you say, I want to flight train my bird, it's clipped, it's 25 years old, it's never flown before, it's not going to happen in 3 hours. So we'll give you a realistic expectation. So at the end of this, you guys have experienced a little progress in class, but then also you can go home with the action steps of what you need to do to move forward.
So we're here in Texas hosting a masterclass. It's actually hosted by this lady right here, Melanie, who's an amazing woman. She has a 1-year-old African Grey parrot who she actually feeds our diet to, which we were really excited about until we found out that this bird is fed our seasonal feeding system in the morning, but actually waits until Melanie gets home later in the day and then begs to train with her and actually gets a full meal of treats at that point. So this bird has learned to basically train Melanie that, hey, if I don't eat my veggies in the morning, I just wait until later, kind of like just getting used to skipping breakfast for us. And then Charlie gets to train with Melanie, fill up on treats, and then she does enjoy her pellets in the evening. So she is giving the right diet, but the bird's not consuming the right diet. And this happens to a lot of well-intentioned people. You need to make sure that you complete diet conversion and that your bird is successfully eating and maintaining its weight on the proper diet of the seasonal feeding system and pellets before you start training every single day. Otherwise, the two work against each other. It's really, really difficult to work on diet conversion and taming and training at the same time without the two sabotaging each other. So I really recommend getting your diet conversion to 100%, then start implementing training so it doesn't backfire like it does with Melanie.
So this is really interesting. So psychologically, we learn a ton about people through their bird's actions. And what you've told me about your bird and the very few conversations we've had so far is right in line with I believe to be your love language, which I believe to be gifts, as shown by the notepads, the gift basket in the room, the meals you've made for everybody, the reaction to the cookies not being ready, you know, all these gifts that you give, I think is how you express your love. And so to show your love to your bird, you're doing these training sessions and over-delivering on the freebies, or I say freebies very loosely there, but the gifts of the treats, rather than recognizing potentially that it's more important to really dial in the diet. And we could work with you on possibly variable reinforcement so you can get the same amount of repetitions but with fewer treats. But a lot of people who are gifts as their love language, if you agree with that, they tend to do what you're doing.
I really want her to be more social, so I would like for her to be able to go to anybody and, you know, maybe work on some flight stuff. Her wings are clipped. Her tail is crooked. So
We can achieve that in 30 minutes.
We
That's
are
good.
set up for success.
Cool. Yeah, flight's something that we can give you direction on, even though she's already clipped. There's a lot of things that we can do while you're waiting for those feathers to come in.
So first we talk to Melanie and decide what our game plan is based on what she wants to achieve with Charlie. She wants Charlie to fly to her and then actually fly back to the perch. So this changes how and when we are going to click and when we are going to give treats. So we are going to be rewarding both behaviors for Charlie coming to Melanie and landing, and also for flying back to the perch and landing on the perch.
And then let's do 5 repetitions and make them perfect.
okay.
Hear that, Charlie? Is perfect.
Good girl. Charlie, come.
She's like, how about
So
something
the reason
easier?
that happened is her body language wasn't quite ready.
Okay.
So what I do in that situation, I might warm up with a target or two, or since we're already kind of committed to this, you could show her the treat, kind of remind her like, hey, we're going to work.
Okay.
Yeah, you
Come.
See how different that is?
Uh-huh.
So it's not always about luring, it's about reminding her.
Whenever you're working on flight training where you have the bird coming to you, but then you also want it to fly away from you, you need to make sure that you're reminding the bird why it's doing both behaviors. So as you see here, Dave had Melanie remind Charlie like, hey, I've got some treats. This is the reason that you're going to fly to me. That's all Charlie needed, to be reminded, oh yeah, there's treats at play here. I want to fly to you for those treats. Sometimes when you're working on flight training like this, the bird doesn't want to fly away from you because it's getting rewarded for flying to you with treats. So a lot of the time you can hold the bird really close to the perch that you want it to go back to and hold the treat on the opposite side so that it steps towards getting the treat by going onto the perch. Making sure that if you experience any hesitancy where the bird doesn't want to go back to the perch, you might be getting inconsistent or forgetting to treat on the perch, or you may just not be setting it up right, where you're maybe setting it up to be a little awkward for the bird to step onto the perch. So just kind of reevaluate. It's always a really good idea to videotape your sessions and just be able to analyze yourself and see what you did right, what could use a little improvement, and just sort of correct yourself for the next session from there. Also, sometimes it's really good to work in a few jackpot rewards. If you notice that your bird's having a harder time with one behavior over another, like going back to the perch again, you may want to offer a jackpot reward for going back to the perch, especially if you have any issues with your bird waiting and staying on the perch versus flying to you when you come. You may be able to do just fewer repetitions with larger rewards, so it takes the bird some time to devour that treat on the perch, and by the time it's done, you've gotten into position and you're ready to call your bird again.
So another thing that'll help you when you put her back to the perch is to turn her and show her like that, because where that will translate to is she will fly to you, and then you go like this, and she'll be so conditioned that when your hand turns this way, it's to go back to the perch.
Okay.
It'll save you a lot of steps in your day. So you don't have to necessarily, when you get up to 100-yard flights or 50-yard flights, she'll reset herself.
A common thing we see a lot when people are training their birds is just very foggy communication when it comes to their handling. A lot of people tend to overcompensate for how their bird goes on their hand or their arm, and it just makes the whole thing sort of sloppy, and the bird isn't really sure what the human is going for, and vice versa. The human isn't really sure where the bird wants to be or wants to go, and if it's uncomfortable or not. A lot of the times, especially in this situation where Melanie has a clipped bird, she's nervous that Charlie may fall or become unbalanced, and she doesn't want to be responsible for that fall and that pain. And so she may be overcompensating just to ensure this bird's safety, which may actually lead to just more problematic balancing issues. One of the things that people see us do, as far as Dave and I, we handle our birds a very certain way where we hold their feet. Now, a lot of people misinterpret this and think that we are restraining our birds or like really hunkering down on that feet hold, and we are not. We are just doing it as very clear communication of, I don't want you to go anywhere, I do want you to step off, I want you to step up. It's just our way of having very clear handling skills, which equals clear communication, especially when we're working on flight training, where we want to communicate to the bird, hey, I want you to come to me, I want you to stay with me, now I want you to fly away from me, I want you to go fly for fun, I want you to come back. There's so much communication going on, and handling is really where it tends to be a make or break it for your bird wanting to come to you or not. If you can be really consistent and clear with your handling, your bird will enjoy coming to you because it will feel like it can clearly communicate back with you. Also, one of the reasons that we hold our birds on our hands is because we can feel all the tension and all the feelings that the bird is feeling in their feet. Whether they're gripping on really tight, or they just seem very relaxed, or they might be leaning one way or another. Those subtle signs tell us a lot of how the bird is feeling in that specific environment at that time. So it gives us a lot of information that we can then respond to, which again, this is all about communicating with our birds, respecting what they fear or what they might want closer to, and this just gives us a lot of information where we can communicate back. Handling is more about the communication.
Okay.
It's not for restraint. If we 100% used, you stand here so I can hold your feet so that you can't go anywhere,
Well, that's how I wanted to get him in the cage.
we wouldn't get that behavior effectively either, because there's no sort of positive reinforcement in that, right? Like,
Right.
we would clearly be communicating, come here so I can hold on to you so you can't go anywhere.
To put it in perspective, can you imagine like holding your spouse's hand with that same intention? Charlie, come. Nice. This time hang on to her for a little bit before you reset her. A common mistake with flight training is people are like, that was awesome, get back to the perch. And the bird's like, I flew to you because I want to be with you, right? We see this all the time, so don't forget, training's happening all the time. You are enough of a reinforcement. Like you said in the notes, she wants to be on you 24/7. You're a huge reinforcement. In fact, you could probably get away with flight training without even using treats for a period of time. So when she does fly to you, feel free to hang out with her a little longer, give her a treat, count to 10, then reset her.
Okay.
That'll really reinforce that flying to you is a good thing.
Okay. Charlie, come.
That was perfect.
Yeah, that looked great.
Good girl.
That click was for you, not her.